Right now on the National Weather Desk, here we go again. More rain is headed to soggy California, where a series of storms have already left their mark.
I think the flooding we're going to see is going to reach disaster proportions.
And it's not just the rain. Powerful winds took down trees and power lines.
Honest to God, I saw the tree coming right at me.
It was definitely scary.
We'll help you better understand the Pineapple Express.
The name pineapple comes from the spot where the moisture originates, near Hawaii.
And have you ever wondered why it sounds so quiet after it snows?
There's actually a physical reason.
Plus the dangers of backcountry activities in the Rocky Mountains and what caused all this sea foam to form along the California coast.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
And a very good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Brian Vandegraff. Well, Californians may be dreaming of rainfall to help end their drought, but instead many are experiencing a nightmare of floods, toppled trees, and power outages. And the threat continues. Most of the state from south of Los Angeles to the Oregon border is under an excessive rainfall risk today. That large area of red you see there means it's a moderate risk that some potential flooding could happen. And get this, another storm is expected to arrive midweek. The whole area will be pummeled multiple times throughout this next couple of days. Now remember this scene from last week? It's the massive waves and flooding near Santa Cruz. More rain increases the threat that a scene like this could be repeated today. Cornell Barnard has more on the flooding concerns in Sonoma County.
Check out new video of a waterlogged Russian River Valley shot from Sonoma 1, the county fire district's chopper. Saturday's reconnaissance mission showed swollen creeks and lagoons, which normally take overflow from the Russian River, now reaching the top of their banks.
I think the flooding we're going to see is going to reach disaster proportions as far as it getting into businesses and residences and cutting off access roads.
Many folks in Guerneville have been getting ready this week for flooding and possible evacuations, stacking sandbags around shops and homes.
Right now we don't have power. We haven't had power since Wednesday afternoon.
Daniel Falcon Schneider lives in Cazadero, where toppled trees are everywhere.
What did Caz Highway look like Thursday morning?
Like a tornado went through. You couldn't see the asphalt, it was just branches and...
He worries floodwater from the river could leave him stranded. Firefighters urge folks living near creeks and rivers to be ready to leave their homes if water starts to rise.
Have a plan B and a go bag packed. Where are you going to go? How are you going to connect with your family? And how will you communicate or deal with the situation, especially if it's at night and if you lose power?
In Sacramento, people are keeping a very close eye on the Sacramento River. It could approach flood stage. Now, with today's rainfall, this is forecast to reach about 32 feet or just over 32 feet. Flood stage is 33.5 feet. So that's a concern for people living near or even on the river on boats. There are also plenty of tree branches in the river right now, making things even more hazardous. Those powerful winds brought down power lines all over the Sacramento region. Many were lying across the street. Others fell on homes and cars. And as of this morning, the more than 110,000 customers across California are without power, 40,000 of those right now in Sacramento County. The mess left some people in the community in shock.
The windows were moving in and out, and I got everything ready because I knew we were going to lose power. And then I came outside, and it was like a hurricane. Stuff was flying around in the air. It was definitely scary.
Those same winds also took down massive trees, which then landed on homes like this one. Liz Amitri has more on that story.
All the noise at night kept people up.
The wind was just howling, just whipping.
It was around midnight when Jan Ponticelli saw firsthand how powerful that wind was.
My bedroom's on the top floor, and I could hear bump. I kept hearing like something hitting the house, and when I got up to look out this bank of windows, honest to God, I saw the tree coming right at me.
It fell onto the rooftop right above her bedroom at her East Sacramento home, but she was okay.
We're going to be okay. I'm sure I'm one of many, many people.
And she was right. This tree toppled over, doing some damage at 21st and F Street. At 43rd between H and J Streets, a tall tree ripped up part of the sidewalk and landed on top of the house across the street. Then trees and power lines were down at 8th and Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, where utility crews were out there trying to get that electricity back up and running. And at 42nd and F Streets, The cleanup began after yet another tree uprooted and balanced onto power lines, and one near that peeled out of the ground and onto a home. Just about everyone seems to have a story to tell after a sleepless night sparked by dangerous, damaging winds.
Now, you probably heard some of the new terms, blowing in the wind ahead of the storm and during some of those storms that have been slamming the California coast. Atmospheric river, though, might be one of them. Meteorologist Emily Gracie explains another one that's been around for quite some time.
You've probably heard the term atmospheric river, but have you heard about the Pineapple Express? Sounds tasty, right? Not so much. In fact, it's a type of atmospheric river that can cause extensive damage once it reaches the west coast of the United States. The name pineapple comes from the spot where the moisture originates, near Hawaii. As the jet stream dips south in the winter, these juicy storms hitch a ride from the tropics to California, where they can dump dangerous amounts of rain and snow. They even get categorized on a scale of 1 to 5, like hurricanes. So next time you hear the term Pineapple Express, remember, before it was a Seth Rogen movie, it was a destructive and sometimes beneficial source of moisture. For the National Weather Desk, I'm meteorologist Emily Gracie.
Rain in California is not all bad news, and many are actually hopeful it'll help bring the state out of its historic drought. Let's head now over to Redding, California, where Mason Carroll spoke with ranchers in the area to find out what all this rain will mean for them.
Need more rain, and when we get that done, we'll be back on board, but we aren't going to be through it.
This is what rancher Jim Rickert said this summer. They, along with many other North State ranchers, are feeling the effects of the drought. So with the increased rain and winter storm, I want to check back in with Rickert to see what this new precipitation means to them.
It's a bit of a miracle. The truth is we're getting just a great rain, and who knows what's going to happen here.
Rickert, who had to sell off some of his herd this summer, said the new rain will help water and feed the cattle. But like we saw last year, California weather can be unpredictable, which makes it even harder for farmers and ranchers.
It's really difficult to plan around that. You know, you have droughts and you have floods and you have all the things in between. So you try to you work at managing around that, but it's a real project.
Both Rickert and state officials say this does not mean the drought is over just yet. The Department of Water Resources put out a statement saying we're in the middle of a flood emergency and also in the middle of a drought emergency. This is an extreme weather event, and we're moving from extreme drought to extreme flood. Rickert says the best outcome would be more warm rain spread out across multiple weeks, but he and other ranchers and farmers will continue to persevere, rain or shine.
Sometimes it's a struggle and a thankless job, but if you can see animals and plants growing and things like that, there's a lot of reward in that, just seeing that happen.
In Colorado, 2 snowmobilers are dead following an avalanche on Saturday. It happened near Winter Park, which is about 70 miles west of Denver. Officials say the men, who are in their 50s, are the 3rd and 4th people to die in a Colorado avalanche since Christmas. The deaths highlight the dangers of backcountry activities where avalanches are more likely to occur. And much better ending here in Utah, where 2 men who were backcountry skiing needed to be rescued. One of them was injured. It happened in Big Cottonwood Canyon near the Solitude Ski Resort. The skiers were trapped in snow up to their waist. Rescue crews say the time of the accident did help with their efforts.
When his wreck occurred, it was around noon, so we do have plenty of daylight. If this happens later on in the day, it makes our job a lot more complicated to get him out.
Crews were able to land a helicopter, load the injured skier, and then fly him to a hospital for treatment. And here's some new drone video from Trent Palmer taken last week. Fog settled under the Ravenel Bridge in Charleston, South Carolina, due to a temperature inversion. Unusually warm air near the ground is warmer than that aloft, allowing air to circulate. But when the air at the surface is stable and cool with the warm air above, fog can form and get trapped. And if you have clear skies this weekend, you may have caught a glimpse of the full moon, known as the full wolf moon. Chelsea Henley Renwick saw this moon and framed it perfectly with a crane on Surfside Pier in South Carolina. Equally well framed is this shot of the moon directly behind the radar tower at WHAM-TV in Rochester, New York. The next full moon is the snow moon back on February 6th. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, have you ever noticed it seems a lot quieter after a snowstorm? Well, typically it is, and we'll show you why.
I'm meteorologist Christian Bridges. Here's a look at your forecast for the Northeast today. Overall, a seasonable day ahead. In fact, above average in many spots. 43 degrees for the high in Boston, 38 in Albany, 39 in Portland, Maine, 30s the further north you go into New England. Heading into Tuesday, slightly cooler as a weak cold front will move through the region, although still not especially cold. 40 for the high in Boston. Some very light snow showers or rain showers possible in southern New England today. Otherwise, quiet for your Monday.
I'm meteorologist Jonathan Myers, and here's a look at the mid-Atlantic region. Starting off with temperatures in the mid to upper 30s, some clouds, maybe a leftover sprinkle here or there. Outside of that, sunshine increases. Actually, a fairly mild day as we head into the afternoon as high temperatures get well into the 40s to right around 50 degrees in the wake of our latest weather maker moving out into the Atlantic. Looks like dry travels for most of the morning commute and the total afternoon and evening commute. That's the scene here.
I'm meteorologist Venus Reed. Here's a look at your highs for today. We're looking at a cool one in Nashville, 49 degrees, 55 in Raleigh, 53 Atlanta. You get into those 60s, getting towards Pensacola and Georgia, southern Georgia, Charleston, about 65 degrees. Getting down into Florida, looking at those mid-upper 70s, the warm spot on the map. It looks like it'll be a beautiful day. High pressure and control over the southeast down towards Florida, but there is a line of showers that will be pushing through the afternoon, evening. Then we clear out with cooler temperatures for the overnight.
Now let's check to see the weather in cities across the country today. We'll start things off here in Springfield, Illinois, where there is a mix of clouds and sunshine today. Highs in the upper 40s, not too shabby. Next, we'll take you over to Lookout Mountain in Georgia, and yes, that is the name of the town. Partly cloudy there today, with highs also in the 40s, even down in Georgia. And here we have a look at the Arthur Ravenel Jr. Bridge in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. Partly sunny today in the Carolina there, and high of about 63 degrees, not too shabby as well. And we end things off in San Antonio, Texas. Big D, down in not Big D, Big S, I guess. Big D is Dallas. Partly cloudy skies with temperatures in the low 70s. My brain got ahead of me. Well, have you ever walked outside after a fresh snowfall and noticed how quiet it is? Well, there is a science behind this phenomena. Emily Gracie reached out to her college physics professor from UNC Asheville to find out why snow muffles sound.
There's actually a physical reason. If you look at those soundproof rooms, you know how they have all those like openings where the sound can get caught? Well, when the snow falls, there's like air pockets. There's like areas, small areas inside, and the sound can then get trapped and absorbed, especially for like high frequencies too, which have short, wavelengths. But it doesn't last that long because, the gravity starts to compact it after a while. And also if the sun should like shine on it, even if the temperature is below freezing, if the sun shines on it, you can get a thin layer of ice, and then it becomes like an auditorium. It comes to the opposite. So it only lasts briefly. I would say maybe an hour or two or so might be what you should expect.
So I wonder, does temperature make a difference when it's falling? Is it colder temperatures, fluffier snow, more sound muffling?
Yeah, exactly. You want the fluffy snow. If you can get some moisture in there, that's like not good. So like you don't want it to start melting. So you do want the cold temperature, have it fluffy, have the spaces, in there so that it can stay as snow for a while without being compacted.
You mentioned if it compacts more, it becomes more ice-like and can actually have the opposite effect. So does that mean like in an ice storm, sound is amplified?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Because see, when it gets compacted, you're basically losing the sound, proofing effect. So that can happen with the snow where it's real quiet, and then after like a few hours where it gets compacted and there's some, ice, forming, it's like the opposite. It's like the difference is very striking.
We posted a longer version of this interview on YouTube, and if you want to find out about the minimum amount of snow that has to fall for the sound muffling effect to take place, head on over to our YouTube page and search the National Weather Desk, and make sure you subscribe. Cross-country skiing in the snow is one way to get out and enjoy winter in the northern states, but recently in northern Michigan, warm temperatures are melting the snow. Meteorologist Heather Bricka shows us another way people near Traverse City are enjoying the outdoors, and it's called Nordic walking.
You might be used to looking at trails like these for cross-country skiing. But with northern Michigan temperatures above freezing for more than a week straight, it's becoming more challenging to get on the trails. That's why Nordic walking is a good alternative.
Nordic walking fills the gap when we're hurting for snow, for sure. It just adds four-wheel drive to your regular hiking and walking campaign.
First originating in Scandinavia, the poles are identical to ski poles that also have an additional option for a rubber foot if you're trekking on solid ground. This kind of walking means less strain on your joints and burns anywhere from 20 to 40 more calories than a regular walk. Now, Nordic walking does require sturdier poles than a traditional walking stick or collapsible walking stick, so Edwards suggests doing your research to find quality and sturdy poles so you can get the most out of your Nordic trek.
Moving to the south now, where people cranked up the heat last month when the Arctic cold front moved in. Now they are seeing the bills and just how much that cold snap will cost them. But as Danny Travis explains from West Palm Beach, it's how much you turn up the heat at once that determines how much you will pay.
In terms of that cold snap we experienced at the turn of the year, you may have found yourself really cranking up the heat, but we learned that doesn't come without a price. I spoke with Florida Power and Light, who says heating can cost 2 to 3 times more than cooling your home. FPL spokesperson Anna Espinosa says that's why it's important to know what kind of heating system your home has. Espinosa says homes either have a heat pump, which are more effective and efficient, or heat strips, also known as auxiliary heat or emergency heat. She says the problem lies when you turn on your thermostat more than 2 degrees at a time, you'll turn on that emergency heat. When this turns on, it pulls a very large amount of electricity without you even knowing. Espinosa says accidentally using the emergency heater for more than 12 hours a day can have an impact of $20 more a day on your electric bill.
It's important to know what's causing your electric bill to rise and what steps you're taking, what actions you're taking that's having that impact.
In California, heavy rain and flooding is a current problem. So what happens to all the runoff water from cities in the area? Well, Rich Rodriguez is in Fresno, California, and he followed all that water to see where it ended up and found out that none of it is going to waste.
Fresno Irrigation District is making sure runoff from Fresno and Clovis doesn't go to waste. They're not big bodies of water, but these recharge basins make a difference.
And so we'll take that stormwater from the cities and then we'll route it out here and recharge the groundwater aquifer, which is beneficial to the growers around here and some of the communities.
Bill Stretch says it helps recharge the aquifers in west side communities of Easton, Kerman, and Biola. The Wagner Basin, about 12 miles west of 99, was brought online this year. It's a game changer.
We would ship it outside of the district because we had no home for that water.
Since 2005, water dripping into the underground table from these basins is slightly more than what Millerton Lake holds.
So the amount of groundwater recharge we've done at sites just like this is just over 550,000 acre feet. So you can see how important these types of projects are to a district like ours.
Due to the recent storms, there's too much water in Millerton Lake. Now some of it is being streamed to one of Fresno's biggest recharge basins. FID isn't through building basins. It's committed to buying 420 acres and adding up to a dozen in the next decade.
When it comes to all that rain, another major question is, will my dog go out for a walk in the weather? For many, the answer is a resounding no, but some dogs are built for the rain. Meteorologist Theron Zahn has more from Seattle, a city known for its rain.
During rainy season, it might be difficult to get your dog to go out for a walk, but there's some dogs that have no trouble at all going out in the rain. And here's a list of some of the top rain-friendly breeds. Labrador Retrievers, they're known as water dogs. Going out in the rain is usually no trouble for them. Newfoundlands, that large breed dog, has a very thick coat, which is pretty much impenetrable to rain. And the Jack Russell Terrier, well, you can tell they got lots of energy, and their boundless spirit means they want to go outside no matter what the weather holds.
There are plenty of impacts from the storm on the West Coast from last week, including this. A viewer captured this unusual amount of sea foam hitting the beach. That was due to high waves offshore. It measured nearly 30 feet near some of the offshore buoys. The foam comes from organic matter like decomposing algae, which gets caught up in the wave action and turns foamy at the surface.
Good Monday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buck-Michael taking a look at your weather across the Midwest for the day today. Most of us staying dry, and temperatures are in the 30s, 40s, or some low 50s in the southern part of the Midwest for the day today. Heading into tomorrow, could see a couple of stray showers out in the Ohio Valley, but all in all, still pretty quiet for most of the Midwest on Tuesday. As we get to Wednesday, got some rain starting to move into the Ohio Valley, some light snow starting to move in from the west, but pretty quiet for the first half of the week.
Good Monday morning. I'm meteorologist Joe DiCarlo. Look at our forecast across the region. We're going to start off mostly cloudy across a good portion of Oklahoma into eastern Texas, but we'll turn mostly sunny into the afternoon. Really pleasant day across the region. High temperatures in the 60s across Oklahoma, upper 60s to low 70s across Texas and Louisiana. A little bit cooler up towards Little Rock with a high today in the mid 50s. Overnight, clear and cool. We'll have some clouds along the coast. Otherwise, mostly clear with those lows back in the 30s and 40s and low 50s down to the south.
Good morning. I'm meteorologist Rebecca Stevenson. Here's what's happening across the West. We've had a series of storm systems moving in, keeping temperatures somewhat normal for the Pacific Northwest, if not a few degrees above, but also very warm for California, where we're getting slammed with another strong storm. The most potent storm coming in today, and it's going to bring mountain snow, concerns with a lot of rainfall for flooding and potential mudslide risk. That's the scene from here.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
Listen to the brute force of nature. In this case, an EF2 tornado that struck Lake Jordan in Elmore County north of Montgomery, Alabama last week. Watch things get progressively worse as the storm batters the tree, knocks it down on the truck, and blows away other fixtures. A more peaceful scene in Frederick County, Maryland, this sunset punctuated by nature's flash.
For more content like this, like the National Weather Desk on Facebook.
Now let's take a look at some of the great photos we got over the weekend from our viewers through our Chime In platform. We'll start off with a photo of Portsmouth, Rhode Island, where the recent warm weather fooled these daffodils into thinking it was time to start to pop in spring. And another look at the full wolf moon from Friday we showed you earlier. Sandy Bush sent us this majestic shot taken near Bristol, Virginia. And a silver lining out in California as trees crashed around this cottage in the woods near Redding during recent storms. The roof to the porch took a hit, but the rest of the house went unscathed. We'd love to share your weather content on the air. You can find us on all your favorite social media platforms, including Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Just search it National Weather Desk or the National Weather Desk. We'll be right back. Tomorrow on the National Weather Desk, we'll take a look at the great alternative to that weather app you use on your phone. And I'll be back with more, including a look at all that weather that impacts California today. Hope you make it a great day. I'm meteorologist Brian Vandergraff. Have a great afternoon.